So I got 3 thumbs up. Nobody in here, but 3 thumbs up. Doing a good job. I totally didn't just scarf down a hot fudge sundae before I got on the live. I don't know if I can still share this. Yeah. There. I lost my keys to the barn because I, when I got home from work, I took them out of my pocket. I set them on my stand to not forget them. And then I couldn't find my keys. And I was kind of scrambling around. I do have another set to get into the barn. But also, I was like, man, I don't know what I did with them. I don't know what I did with them. And I went and I went to grab this, my water, and there are my keys. Because, you know, why I told my wife my brain just yeets information like that as the I don't know if the kids say it anymore, but that's the one term that they'll take on. What's up, my man? How much? I just ate a hot fudge sundae, sticking to the diet. Awesome. I lift weights. I can eat like garbage sometimes. It is summertime, and I have a problem with ice cream. Quick heaven. Quick heaven. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Got my hot box rolling in the it's not on heat, but I'm rolling some Vegas. The track I'm going to this weekend for UAS. Yes, I am getting back to UAS. I enjoy the clone stuff. I just hope I haven't forgotten how to drive a open cart. Scaled awesome. Everything looks on point. Engine fired okay. Clutch looks awesome. Guessing on gear because what I had written down, I was told they reconfigured the track and took some banking out of it. So we'll see if they took some banking out of it. I do have the ability to run a little more rear stagger, so that's good. Quick question: Who's this? Who's coming in the corner? Will help moving the hubs help? Yes. How do I explain this? I got bumblebees going on in here. I'll explain this. You're changing. It's twofold. We're talking about the rear axle only. I do better when I'm looking at. Sorry, let me just show you guys my belly. So here's my open. Okay. So you got to think about this is a lever, and how the further out, the quicker it picks it up, the closer in, the less it picks it up. So if you move it out, it's going to lever quicker, and it's going to jump onto the right front quicker. So I would tighten in. That should tighten it up. If you move the left rear hub in, it should tighten up entry. It will also tighten up exit. So you have to be careful of that. You got to think of your tires. The wider you spread your rear track width, the less it's going to want to drive off the corner. So the closer it is, the more it wants to drive off. So you can adjust that way. Just know that it has a twofold kind of thing. Also, loose entry, sometimes a lot of rear stagger can do that. If you're running more rear stagger to get through the center of the corner, unfortunately, it helps center corner, but it also can loosen on entry as well. Also, just think about your transfer. If you have too much right front camber, your right front step like this, if you bring it down, it keeps that from jumping like this. It's already planted. So it should control how much that enters the corner. Take out just a little bit, like a flat or two. It might help that transfer and help it transfer quicker. But keep your left rear planted. just a thought. It's a tough call. It's I've been loose in turns, and sometimes loose in isn't so much a setup thing as the tires all around aren't gripping. You're almost in a slide. So you go. It's happened on the clone before on a flat track. All of a sudden you go into the corner and there's just nothing. It just I don't know if it rotates, if it's not getting enough side bite, but the tires aren't digging into the surface. So, 2 inches in the rear, yeah, that might be part of it. It's, I mean, rightfully so. That's I don't disagree with 2 inches in the rear. That definitely will help you get around the turn, but it also has a adverse effect of it's probably making you loose in. Through the center works great. If the objective is to get the turn, that it's doing. It's just that might be some of the cause of why it's so loose in if you're running two, or the front is not turning. Yeah, that's so you might want to consider that. I was just discussing with a guy at the track, a friend, and we are talking about I think I do a video on it eventually, but the a cart is a lever. Which way it, from left to right, from rear to front, it's a lever, and controlling how much and at what rate it loads certain tires throughout the corner, in, center, off, you're moving things, making adjustments, or in order to dictate how quickly or not quickly that happens. So it's a balancing act, definitely. But I'm not going to tell you to take rear stagger out of it, because if that's what works at that track, you might want to do just what I would assume tightening up your rear track width is going to help you tighten up entry, probably tighten off drive too. What's going on, Bill? But it's all relative. Weight transfer is all relative. It's if your front's not biting, uh, that might be that's that lever action, or you might maybe you have I hate to tell you, put more weight in the nose if anything, or scoot your seat forward if you're loose in. Yeah, it's that's an interesting proposition. It's been a long time since I've had both carts in here. It's kind of nice. I spent a lot of time on this past week. There's the Bama. Spent a lot of time getting this puppy. I gotta put a zip tie on there. Ooh, you know what? While I'm thinking of it, guys, please hold. Zip tie, zip tie, zip tie. I'm still here, guys. I apologize. I bet you all my zip ties are out in the barn, or out in the. I bet you they are. Oh, wait, what's that? Ask and you shall receive. Okay, I'm still here. See, I'm here. I've been looking at this all week long, thinking I gotta zip tie that to the frame rail, or else bad things can happen. This is the electronics. So I have a battery that powers the power valve on the backside of the engine, and that wire was hanging low. And the last thing I need that to do is unplug itself, because I don't know if you've ever been on a dirt bike or anything. I'm not a end on a 2-stroke. And then as you climb up in RPM, that power valve opens, and then you get the full exhaust. So you're kind of, if a 2-strokes power band is like this, a power valve makes it like this. And it makes it way more controllable, but also if that happens to remain shut, I could drive it open. Matter of fact, the Bama was designed initially with them just with no power valve whatsoever. I could drive it open, but driving it closed, it like shuts off 30 horsepower. It's crazy. Last one, the track is really loose too. Yeah. I definitely work on drive then. Getting your rear track width tightened up, and also keep this in mind too. If you can't move your hubs in, you might also experiment with moving your front hubs out. Same concept. It will mess. I say mess not in a bad way. It may be something that you might want to do, but if you start moving your front hubs, it's going to. If you move your left front out, it's going to hit first and get on your right rear quicker. If you move your right front out, it's gonna engage later. Anyway, if you spread your front, it will have the same concept as narrowing your rear. The narrower your rear end to your front end, the more forward drive it's going to have. That's on entry and on exit. But yeah, side flip. My brain is working whilst I'm talking. I need to clip this. Yeah. All right, so I did a short for this. I haven't put it out yet, but people were asking me about the Insta, and I made a bracket for this yesterday. So it's just real simple. I know everybody's fairing is not the same, but my fairing bracket has this. So show you guys a little better here. Okay. All right, so all I have is a bracket off of the fairing that holds a standard GoPro mount, and then this thing is surprisingly enough, this does that on the other mount, but because this has image stabilization in it, the actual device, it doesn't. It picks it up pretty clear. But hey, what's going on from the UK? That's awesome. I'm always baffled that people slide in here from other countries. I know that obviously YouTube is global, but it's still pretty cool that when people slide in here and they're from other countries, it's like that's awesome. That's super cool. But yeah, scaled this thing. I scaled this thing yesterday. Well, no, day before yesterday, and big old hot fudge sundae eating Ben doesn't have to put any weight on his cart. That's kind of cool. Like the cart's lighter because I'm heavier. I don't know if that's a great thing, but it's a reality. Now, the one thing with the Open is this Open is so much heavier than a clone. Like I struggle with having way too much left side weight in the clone. A lot of people do. On this, I do not. I'm centered in the seat, or on the chassis. I'm more centered. I'm way more over towards the motor, and I still have 58% left. Now, I know 58 doesn't sound like a lot to people, but on the northern tracks we run up here, that gives me excellent side bite. We need the right side tires to dig into the track, so if I can help it up here, I try not to run 59 or 60, but I mean, for instance, I will get to your question here in a second. TJ Miller or TJ Miller. Yeah, I got that right. As you see here, like I have a ton of room still to move this over. So yeah, my seat is, I won't say centered, but it's more centered than I think that. No, maybe I move this all the way over right, trying to get away from the left side weight, but because the clone is so light, I have a hard time with that. Okay, let me sit down. Read some stuff here. All right. Does a smaller driver sprocket combo with the same ratio accelerate faster than a Our driver combo where the run do car very little and every yes. So yes, the same ratio will equal the same RPM. It's a small change, but it is changed nonetheless. A smaller sprocket will get up off the corner faster. It just won't have the same top end speed as the larger driver, even though they're the same ratio. It's something. It's a way if it's coming around the small sprocket and going around a big one, it changes that dynamic. It changes the torque a little bit of the engine and the way it pulls. But it's uh, general knowledge. I would say general that a smaller driver just gets up off the corner. It's easier for the engine to spin a smaller driver, therefore it goes better. Now, and we've my engine builder and his son, they talked about this, that the local track I run, AMS, that we run 11 drivers. Some people run 10s and they run mini gears, which is fine. And the lap times often are the same or very similar, but like he said, that it doesn't feel as fast to get up off the corner quicker. So I'm talking about 10 and 11 drivers at the small track. We both run 11s. I think he runs 11. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, I run an 11, and he's talked about he's run a 10 before, and although the lap time is similar or the same, it doesn't feel faster because with the bigger driver you're able to carry a lot more momentum into the turn. But if you do find yourself in a case where you need to make passes and you're getting runs up off the corner, a smaller driver definitely is the way to go, because it will give you that little extra kind of burst up off the corner. It's not going to be much, but it'll be better. It takes more to wind up a bigger driver than it does a smaller one. Olivia may very cool. One of our local pubs, nice pint of beer for. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I don't love beer, but I do like beer. I had a beer the other night, and I won't get too bad into this because I will get my eyes will well up because he was such a good friend. Mark Bergfeld, the head of the UAS, he was the administrator for a long time. The man who basically created the Unlimited All Stars. Did he create the open engine on a cart? No, he did not. But the Unlimited All Stars, Mark just lost his battle with cancer 2 days ago. He, extremely good friend of mine. We everything from being yelled at to him hiring me as an administrator to us, debating ideas. Yeah, he yelled at me at Good Hope in like 2006. It was I lost my bumper and I had no business being on the track, and he yelled at me to get off the track. Anyway, we went to the Grand Nationals in Jasper, Florida together. I drove down to Pittsburgh to his to Beaver Falls where he lived, and we drove from there down to Florida. I spent a lot of time with this man. He is a man of faith, a man of God, a family man, and see, I knew it. Loved to play the fiddle, just a super dude, and I feel for Teresa and his whole family. I knew, see, I knew I was gonna, if I mentioned it at all, I was gonna get choked up. Mark was one of my, I can easily call him a mentor. I learned a lot from the man over years of racing with him, and it's very sad to see him go. Damn it. Get it together, man. You're a man. Stop crying. Anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way. And what brought that on was that I had a beer from Mark the other night. Mark loved beer. Matter of fact, last time I saw him, we were down in Pittsburgh. We the winter conference, the UAS conference, and the man was having a beer. He was talking about he just wanted to get his license back because when he got diagnosed with cancer, they put him on. They put him on chemo and stuff, gave him a seizure. Once you have a seizure, they pull your license, like, hey, you're not safe for the roads. He's just like, I just want my license back. And I saw a picture on Facebook. He got his license back. I'm like, awesome, dude. It seemed as though he was beating it. And then, like, close to a month ago, he had gone back into the hospital, and just something about give the family some time or something. And I'm like, man, that is no good. And unfortunately, 2 days ago, that was that. But we're going down to Keystone, going down to Blairsville. You know, I think Mark won down there, down to his old region, and we'll race in his honor. Yeah, I gotta stop talking about. Anyway, yeah, he liked beer, so I had a beer in his honor. That was the point. So I like. The only reason I say weird stuff like that is because I prefer bourbon over beer. If I'm gonna have a drink, I'm not a bourbon snob, but I like bourbon. Uh, but a beer's pretty good. As a matter of fact, I had an Oktoberfest, a Sam Adams Oktoberfest, richer beer. It was really good. Okay, so we're 52 here. Got another tooth on the driver. We were on a track. Yeah, very little throughout the whole time. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, and it will help the smaller driver will help that even if you're off the or not off the gas when it pulls the engine down, that smaller driver will allow it to recover RPM a lot faster. Like I said though, you're just if you're looking for getting into the chute, aka getting into the next turn, bigger drivers just have a little more at the end. So if you get a line on somebody, if you can hold them off the corner, that bigger driver will tend, about mid straight, it'll tend to pull, and then go. But also you'll find yourself at a disadvantage entering the corner without enough momentum to get up off the corner. So you better have it secure. You better, more or less run the guy a little high. So they make you give you the corner, make you get the arc. But yeah, at least. Yeah, it's Mark was a good dude. His wife's a good dude. His kids are good. Ben and Josh, I believe. I think they're only two. I hate to even say that, but I don't actually know. The ones that I've met anyway. uh, yeah, I saw that too. I didn't know that, but yes, Regina. Yeah, I did see that posted up, and thoughts and prayers with them too. It's I felt this. I don't say it felt this way. Uh, People, it's one thing people don't let you know when you get older that people will pass and they will go away, and it's I had the experience a long time ago, maybe not as emotional. We used to race with a guy, we called him the Steel Man. He sold steel chainsaws, STIHL, steel. Jeff Hainish, and a super guy, a God fearing man, just a hardcore racer. Wouldn't give you an inch of space on the track. Ran you clean, but didn't give you an inch. He made you earn every little bit. He had twin 100s. Is such a super guy. Never smoked a day, drank a day in his life. Treated his body, best he could. Just a super duper guy. Colon cancer. Died. Just poof. And it's like, oh, like it's uh, it's just a tough deal. But yeah, what's going on, G? I'm trying to cry on this live. That's what I'm doing. And La La Land 73. I don't read whatever language that is. So thanks for being here. So I did some more tires. I got some 33s here. The track, okay, we'll go into that a little bit. Now, you are going to find, if you go to enough tracks, like kind of like I have, like I've been all up and down the East Coast, out into the Midwest a bit, with an open tire rule, that you are going to find that there is usually a preferred tire for whatever track it is. Usually it is, if it's a hot, fast track, chances are, a max is going to be the key. If it's but there's the instances like is it Beech Nut or something like that. There are tracks down south, Red Clay. Sometimes that track, the preferred tire, would be a Burst 33, and then sometimes there are tracks much like Blairsville that I lean towards Burris being the tire of choice, but also I have one there on Vega Yellows, so it can go either or. Now there are give ups to both sides. Um, on I feel as if, especially on an open, that the Vegas give up towards the end of a run. Now, in my experience, I've won on burst 33s as well there. Um, and they took longer to come in, but when they came in, they were just absolutely perfect. And I also got my I was just talking about this to a friend, Dan. I was talking about the other Dan that had a way smaller motor than me, and he was, I'll get his name eventually here, but he was on a smaller, like you call them big blocks. It was an industrial, but in no way had, it's not a drag race. Open racing, UAS racing, run what we run, not a drag race. We run on ovals, and he had a smaller motor, but I tell you what, corner speed is king. And Dan, what is his last name? That's driving me nuts. He knew that track like the back of his hand. He knew that some goat on some 33s, the tire pressure, and he set sail. He was gone, and I was sitting in second. Like, I was running good. I think I was on Vega Yellows, and I was running good, but he was just gone. I'm like, oh, see you, Dan. And then next, he got caught up with a lapper and just handed the win to me. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. Would be cool. Would be sponsored by Red Bull. Make some great videos with racing. I know. I like Red Bull, so I'm not sponsored by anybody as far as drinks like that. I love the taste of Red Bull. I don't drink it that often because of the cost a little bit. I was talking about so one of my best friends, Doug, if he's on, he may be watching right now. We are talking about this the other night playing Black Ops 6, and how I believe that Monster in the States is much bigger, but the rest of the world, I believe that Red Bull is bigger. Now, is that can consumption or just influence on things? Because you have the Monster, Monster Energy Cross or Monster Energy Supercross and things like that. They're obviously, they got athletes in NASCAR and this and that, and then you also have Red Bull racers. And now that Red Bull's coming back into NASCAR, they're doing sponsored athletes. It just, and obviously, your Verstappens and this and that when you're talking about IndyCar. That I think the rest of the world is more Red Bullish. Not saying that Monster isn't out there, but I think that Monster has a bigger hold here in the States. I like them both. Hey, a matter of fact, it's just been a couple months that I even tried the White Monster. That stuff's delicious. But when it comes down to it, man, either is great. I do enjoy a Red Bull. My son hadn't had one either. I know that energy drinks are bad for you. Okay, fine. Everything's fine in moderation, just not heroin. But he tried one. He's like, they're pretty tasty. I'm like, I know, and I think it's less carbonation. I think that maybe that's why I like it. But anyway, all right. Have I watched Top Gear? I have watched Top Gear. Not a ton, but I have watched some. I'm real weird about TV. Like, I'll rewatch 80s movies. And I watch NASCAR. I watch a little bit of football, but that's more my wife's thing, which is weird to say. But Supercross, NASCAR, I watch. I watch a little bit of Indy. I'll watch a little bit of dirt track racing. But I'm usually on my phone running a YouTube channel. As it turns out, it's funny. Interacting with people, answering questions, comments, doing editing stuff, all that stuff. My wife complains that she can't hunker me down to watch some movies sometimes because I'm just busy doing all this stuff, or I'm out here in the garage or doing whatever. So, but I am aware. I've watched Top Gear. Very entertaining. I like the try to burst. So yeah, it's been a very long time since I've even tried this beard octane chiming in there. Been on treads at all. I think I've had this discussion on here before, and I said it. I get razzed on Facebook by a gentleman. Treads and tear-offs. Let's get back to racing. I don't disagree. I don't not like treads. We just don't run them around here. It's just not a thing around this area. Would I compete on treads? Sure. Would I compete on no prep treads? Sure. I've run Burris 33s before, but Burris other stuff. It's been a very long time since I've been on treads. There's just tracks around here that slicks perform better. They just do. It takes a specific style of track for treads to be faster unless everybody is on them. And I don't want to say everybody's at a disadvantage. Everybody's put into the same funnel. All right, now perform with this. But yeah, I don't dislike treads at all. Are you in any of the Coview races this year? Not sure if you've been there before. I'll Trailblazers next season. We don't have a burst. We don't have any burst tires. Yeah, I have run Coview. There was the other one too. Cove Valley. I think Cove Valley closed. I won at that track. That was fun track. That was that story about I showed up in a minivan and everybody had trailers and trucks, and I ended up winning. I won due to the rain. I sat pole after qualifying, and they counted it as the feature. But that was pretty funny. But yes, I have been down there. I did not. It's a cereal bowl at the bottom of the hill. Yeah, I remember pushing up that hill. That was terrible. The track was awesome, but it was a nice super banked kind of cereal bowl track. That was a lot of fun. Ran an open race there. Ran UAS race back in the Empire days. Yeah, I think I ran in the back of the pack though. Like I was uncomfortable with banking back then for whatever weird reason, and I was on a little 125 back then. Blairsville is a great track though. It's they say they reconfigured it. They say they took some banking out of it. Okay, I can see that being interesting, especially on an open, because the banking will catch you in an open. To flat track and stuff is more difficult when you got 70 horsepower behind you. Your right foot there. So, but yeah, it's usually butter smooth. That picture. Oh, there it is. Here, I'll show you. Is that it? I think that's it. We're gonna get up here. Oh, stop it! Get up here. That track right there. That underneath my tires was Blairsville. Buttery smooth. Lot of fun track. I think that's Hunterstown. That picture's from Blairsville, but that's on the back in the pits. I don't know where that picture's from. That's Hunterstown. I was trying to find all these. Dumpling Valley. I do have a picture from Dumpling Valley. Me racing at Dumpling Valley when Mark was doing these. That's that. This right here. There's one of the track. Just like some people don't like the Burris game. It's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I showed up at that track with Vega Yellows, figuring Vega Yellows were faster than Burris. And Burris 33s were 2 seconds faster a lap. For real. It was serious. How do I feel about the site? Do you think it has a tight? I'm really struggling. Push off the corner and can't figure it out. The site. I will say this. Somebody asked me about that. They had a chance at a Scythe or a Recon, and I have both. There's a Scythe sitting right here. There's a Recon sitting right there. My opinion on it is that the Scythe enters the corner better, but is lazy on exit. The Recon enters the corner good, but is better on exit. There's more entry speed on the Scythe than there is on the Recon, but that might be, in my opinion, what you might be feeling. You might be feeling the laziness of the Scythe up and off the corner, which might be the tight that you're feeling. It's just not getting back to where it needs to be as quick as the Recon, kind of why they went back to the Recon. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people love the Recon because of that corner or the corner exit speed that it had. But if you want to go watch something, watch the 2023 Grand Nationals at Georgia that I put up, GKK, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm off the gas, and the Scythe just rockets in the turn. It was so good on corner entry, But when I went, everybody with the big 450s and all that stuff, when they climb back to the gas, they'd have this burst, and the site just didn't want to. It just didn't want to launch off the corner. Now it's great for some tracks. Some tracks you need that because if it's too responsive, especially on an open, it'll whip and get loose on you. But there's that. Beard Octane coffee coming soon. Nice. Yeah. Beard Octane. What is it? Oh, Nitro is blueberry coffee. It is awesome. Beard Octane makes some really good stuff. Big fan of theirs. Been using. Well, I started growing a beard in 2018. I've been using Beard Octane since that was end of 2018. I've been using Beard Octane since 2019, and I believe they were created in 2018. So a year after they were created, I started using them and have ever since. And yep, using Simple Green to clean the tires or the track ducts. So here's this person's asking about the Simple Green versus Blue Tire Wash. Blue Tire Wash was developed not to, it will clean the tire without drawing any of your prep work out. Because Simple Green is so aggressive, it's going to bite into the tire. It is also going to bite into the prep, and it will pull that out of the tire. So if you did a lot of work prior to the day of racing, Simple Green is going to want to pull that out and dry the tire out up a little bit. To whereas Blue Tire Wash is just meant to leave that, whatever you treated the surface with, leave that there, but get the dirt out. That's the difference between the two. Yes, there's almost a false sense of clean, if you want to say that, with Simple Green because it makes the tire so sticky. Well, that's the aggressive nature of that, whatever chemical they have in it, actually biting into the rubber and making it sticky. It's also, it might be potentially ruining what prep work you've done to that day. Doesn't mean, people do it all the time. Some people like it. Some people like to prep only with Simple Green because it makes the tire so sticky. They really like that sensation and think it works well, and maybe it does for them. Fantastic. I just, I've used Blue Tire Wash since way back when because, just that you could, I don't fear of it changing the work I had done to the tire. Formula. I don't watch much Formula One. Okay, I mean, if it happens to be on, okay. I don't have any. I don't have an opinion on it. It's a lot of follow the leader. It's all in qualifying. Doesn't mean passes don't happen, but it's. I'm a dirt racer. I like oval stuff. It doesn't mean I like watching NASCAR on road courses. I have Watkins Glen like in my backyard. It's like an hour for me. But I just never seem to catch it. I don't want to say that I'm not a fan of it because I can appreciate it. I can, it's racing. I love racing. I love, pretty much all forms of racing. I just never seem to catch it when it's on, and I don't go out of my way to watch it because usually the only thing two things I go out of my way to watch on the weekend. I go out of my way to watch Supercross and motocross, kind of, but it's during the day. If I happen to catch it, cool. It's outdoors, outdoors. I think I would really enjoy going to a motocross track, but watching on TV, Supercross is just more exciting. It's like bull ring action. And then NASCAR, whether you can argue, fine. Some people don't like NASCAR. Cool. I enjoy it. I've been a fan for a long time. My dad, I have Mark Martin standing here staring at me. My dad's been a NASCAR fan for a long time. I kind of grew up with it. So as I got older, as I got into racing, I got into NASCAR. I also had was it F? It wasn't F1. I think that was Indy. I had a Casey Mears. Casey Mears? No, I can't remember who. I had a yellow Indy car toy when I was a kid. Man, was it Mears? I don't think. Maybe it was a Casey Mears. Who's the dad? I can't remember. It's too old. What's going on, Doug? I'm sorry, guys. I am alive and kicking, sir. Finally got a race in ice. Very cool. Blue Tire Wash, but it's a very good prep. Yes, correct. Because it has not only cleans the tire, Blue Tire Wash, but it leaves behind DRT, dirt repelling technology. You will find that down south a lot as well. Dry and dusty tracks, fantastic. You don't want to put a chemical on there that is going to bite into the tire to make it softer at all. Blue tire wash is not going to make it softer at all, but when you wipe it off, it's going to leave behind the DRT that is going to, that people have been known to burn in. I will say this about burning in. There is a component in it that it may work for you, and that's fine. I would suggest heating the tire, using blue tire wash, and maybe leaving it on there. That's going to leave the most DRT in the tire possibly. If you are putting blue tire wash on and then torching it in, you're destroying a component of it. I got that information from the maker of it. Whether or not that's true, I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want to do it, if you want to burn in blue tire wash, if it works for you, knock yourself out, man. I think it's a waste of product. I think you heat the tire, put the blue tire wash on, don't wipe it off, or clean your tire, add another layer of blue tire wash, let it set. It's going to dry on its own. I believe it's an emulsifier, whatever that means. I think Randy told me that. But it's going to leave whatever behind. It's just not going to bite into the tire and make it softer for those tracks that you don't want it to. I don't disagree. People, for instance, Tire Tough Mint. Tire Tough Mint is an oily based bite builder. It takes about 3 weeks for it to truly do its job in biting up a tire. People swear by it, using it at track. I think it's wasting the product. I think you're better served using black sand or black sand and acrosol at the track. I think you're still getting the benefits of whatever chemical it is that they put in both those items at the track. But people swear by wiping Tire Tough Mint on at track. Hey man, if it works for you, do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I would, if anybody asked me, I go, I wouldn't do that. But who am I? Rick Mears, there you go. Awesome. Also, okay. I use Dawn soap. Dawn soap, that's not aggressive at all. That's probably not gonna get into the tire or anything. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I am a proponent of TrackTac products. I push them. I suggest them. It's what I know the best. I am not delusional. I know there are a lot of great ways of treating tires. I know there are a lot of great other companies out there that have tire treatments. I would love it if everybody was on TrackTac. I think it'd be fantastic. I don't disagree with anybody who runs anything different or has a different way of using any item. If they use partially TrackTac products like black sand, AT2, whatever it is, but they also use another line, okay, fine by me. I don't know. I'm not you got to be running this or else it's Anyway. Also, how do you shrink a tire? Okay, so if you have a hot box, super. If you don't have a hot box, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to heat the surface of the tire best you can, torch, whatever, hold it like this and go. If you have a heat gun, okay. If you want to put them out in the sun to shrink a tire, let all the air out, valve some. You can take it out if you want, or just use your gauge. Release all the air possible. As you heat the tire up, it's going to, even though there's very little air in there, it is going to expand what little air is in there. You're going to want to let that out as well. You could even, as you're pushing, you can kind of squish out and get as much air out as possible. You're going to want to get the surface just very hot, very, very hot. I don't know what temperature. I set my hot box at like 140, 150 when I'm growing or shrinking tires. So keep on letting the air out. As it builds air, keep on letting it. Then you're going to have some form of bucket or tote. Regular water will work. Ice water is better. If you get a bag of ice, put it in whatever water, then you're going to take your deflated tire and you're going to boop and stick it in that. That is going to shock the tread. And with no air in it, it's going to suck the whole thing in. It's going to, and it's going to make like flat spots all the way around, like 3 or 4 flat spots. But that is going to cinch up the tread and draw all the molecules of the rubber together like this. And the unfortunate side to that is there's no true way of monitoring how much you're going to shrink it. If I were to, I'm going to tell you the exact same process for growing a tire as that, except for you take your measuring tape, you put the tire at about a quarter inch past where you want to be, and then you heat the crap out of it. Just get it hot, hot, hot. Just I can't touch the thing. And then the same thing, ice bath, and rotate it, and then let it sit and normalize in temperature, and let the air out, and then check your diameter. The shocking of the tread is the best way to get things to stay as best you can. It's not a guaranteed science. It just, especially the growing of a tire, works better quarter inch past where you want to go, and then let the heat just expand it to wherever it's going to go. But then that will give a little leeway when you shock the tread, that it can it might move back, say 34 and a quarter. You want it to stay at 34, put it at 34 and a quarter. It may grow to 34 and a half when you heat it up, but don't worry about that. As you shocked it, as you let the air back out, it's gonna normalize back to that point. If there was anything I wish I had, it would be amazing to have NASCAR here in the UK. I don't have anything like that as compared to. I know, and don't put it past NASCAR. They really are. They're going to Mexico City. I think that NASCAR in a whole really. I have my beef with NASCAR. NASCAR brass. This car drives me nuts. Just from the driver standpoint, because I assimilate. No, that's not it. I hear the drivers. I'm a driver. I may not drive a NASCAR, but I understand when people put rules in place that built something that is not great, and then they're just like, oh, Band-Aid, 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 oh, I don't know what you're complaining about. We got this. It just, as an entity, though, we'll take all that aside. The car bothers me, all that stuff. As an entity, they want to expand the brand of NASCAR beyond the states. They're going to Mexico this coming summer to run the road course there, Mexico City. That's going to be fantastic. I believe that sooner or later, maybe next year, maybe the year after, eventually it's going to be, hey, we want to do, a NFL type scenario where we go overseas and race over there. It's just that there's so much to the cars and the teams and the everything you need. I mean, you're talking about 38 teams. I always have to get that out of my head that it used to be 42 and 38 teams, and trying to logistically get all the cars over there, all the equipment, all the teams. It's going to be done in the faith of picking up fans from other countries that will then tune into the sport and then increase the ratings, because logistically, I got to say, that's a nightmare. That is going to cost a pretty penny, and they're going to have to find some way between sponsorship, NASCAR kicking in their point or their percentage, and then the teams obviously are going to have to pony up some in order to make it happen. But I think NASCAR, Arrive to Drive or whatever, the F1 series, I think they want to be that global kind of brand, and I think that's fantastic. I think they did dumb things with this car. They made a spec car and asked it to do three different disciplines. Three different disciplines. Wait, no, four different disciplines. Wait, short track, road course, intermediate, and super speedway. Four different disciplines. They asked one car with one design, with one, essentially set of rules. I know they call it packages, but that's a bunch of hooey. It's all the pretty much the same stuff. They're asking one spec car to do all those things, and I think it just wasn't thought. Their intent was good to make things, the parity in it. I hate that friggin' word. The parity. You need comers and goers in the sport. You need people to be super fast. You need people to set the bar. that you go shoot after it. Now, your Hendricks and Penske's and Gibbs are making that very difficult on everybody else, but rightfully so. They spend the most money, they take in the most money, they buy the best, they get the best drivers. Rightfully so, they should be up there. But it's just, there's a whole world of expanding the brand throughout the world to where it's just logistically, I can't even. Logistically, it's going to be a nightmare to go. They're going from Michigan to Mexico City in a week. That's going to be tough on the teams, man. That's really going to be tough on the teams. Okay, Rick Mears. Yep, I forget some of the people I've known the longest. There's just words that escape me, and I do this not for a living, but I do this. I get in front of people and I talk to them, and then it's just like I draw a blank. It could be a fork. What's that thing called? Oh yeah, a fork. It's just my. It's weird. What does wrapping your tires in plastic wrap after prepping do? In theory, it will keep the product from evaporating. It will keep it in the tread. Track Tech recommends don't wrap your tires. That's Track Tech. That's I'm not anybody other other tire prep companies tell you to do it. They say it works. Other people have done it for years. Works. You're gonna hear a whole gambit of everything. I think that you are, in my opinion, where Track Tech's coming from is plastic wrap isn't completely. It's not like a shrink wrap per se, and even with shrink wrap, you're going to have pockets of prep that didn't dry adequately. That you're going to. It's not an even prep. It's not it's gonna those little ridges, those little bubbles in there, anything like that. It's gonna cause uneven penetration in the tread. I think it's better to just do like the Maxxis guys do. If you really, let you say off season or whatever, even during the season, if you just constantly once a week give your tires a wipe, just keep the tire fresh. Or if you're going to let them sit for a while, which is more so what I do because of our cold winters, every tire that I have that's on this wall, if I go to use it, I'll get put on the surface of the machine and I take that layer off. The layer that is exposed to the elements has been oxidized. That is the driest point of the tire, and take it right off. And therefore, keeping it, it gives me a base layer of fresh rubber in order to treat or do whatever I am. So I kind of, when I read that in Track Tech's literature a long time ago, we do not recommend wrapping tires. I agreed with it. I thought, it's not for me to tell anybody else to do it or not to do it, but I've never seen a problem with not doing it. It's kind of an old school mentality, but there's nothing wrong with that. If it works for whomever, cool. But that's the concept, that you would wipe a tire, say, even if you're using something as simple as W40, spray it on your tire to put some of the oils back in it, and then you wrap it with saran wrap that locks in that chemical in order to keep the tire fresher. But in my opinion, even if you do that, I would surface them anyway. So whatever penetration that might have happened, I'm going to take it off anyway. So it doesn't matter if it's, if it's an oily residue or just my opinion on that. I won't tell you to do it or not do it. Completely up to you. Rank this for prep. Track is dry and dusty, but also cool weather. I'm gonna say black sand and Acrosol probably, or quick dry. Track Tech has their own version of Acrosol. It's called quick dry. Temperature wise, I think with the Acrosol is going to be open up the tire for that. It's going to bring the tire in a lot quicker. The black sand's going to do its job in building bite in the tire, but the Acrosol is going to open up the tread in order to allow it to heat up quicker. I could tell you to wipe it with black sand and Acrosol. Like I would suggest if it's really truly that cold, If it is, say, 60 degrees or below, I might do a very light wipe of something like SQS in order to fire the tire and get to that, make that black sand work a little quicker. But it depends on the night. Dry and dusty every single time, any track, I'm going to suggest black sand and Acrosol at track. There's a reason why even people who don't use track tack have black sand, because it works. It's just really, really good. But yeah, I'm following all over NASCAR. I think I'm falling for the dirt late model chick down the black. I like dirt late model. I like sprint racing. I like all that type of racing. It's tough for me to watch dirt on TV. I don't know why. I have IPTV, if you guys know what that is. So I get channels, and I put it on Mav sometimes, or what's the other one? Yeah, I know what it's called. Never mind, doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll come across a dirt race, and I'm like, cool dirt race, and then I lose focus real quick. In person, oh, yes, sir. Yes, that's my kind of flavor. I kind of feel the same way about baseball and hockey. To watch them on TV, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I'd say it's easier for me to watch dirt racing on TV than it is, hockey or baseball. But man, live, all three of those things, fantastic. Dirt racing live. There's something about getting dirt in your beer and getting hit in the face with some dust, and it's an awesome experience. I have a hard time watching on TV. But I discussed earlier, it's hard for me to sit down and do that. What prep do you recommend? Tightly packed dirt track with no dust. So the surfacing it, buddy. Yeah, AT2 is just people have talked about hot lap for a very long time. AT2 is a different formulation, TrackTax formulation of that type of chemical. It's for lack of a better term, it's a basic chemical. It will get the job done. But yeah, any of the I would say mid-grade. That's not the right terminology. Mid aggressiveness. There we go. Mid aggressive type of props from the track tank line are going to probably fall into that category. SST, GK1 Blue's pretty aggressive, but if you need a bit more bite, that's a really good one. AT2, Ruby's a little more on the lighter side. That's a medium to hard track type of prep that I'd be using on that. But it's I'd say the middle of the road aggressiveness. When I'm talking middle of the road, all right. Well, I'll go through the line of where I think the aggressiveness is. We'll start from the least aggressive. You're talking about your things that don't penetrate into the tread that far, but build bite. So you're going to be your black sand, your AT2, Ruby are going to be probably your least aggressive of the bunch. They build bite. They're really good preps, but they are there for your harder, faster type tracks. And then in the middle is going to be your SSTs, there's SST5, which we won't mention that. SST, GK1 Blue are two of them. Let's see if I'm seeing everything correctly here. And then on your more aggressive preps, you're going to be into SSA Grape, which is for cool weather. Your SST5, which is SST5 with 5 times the amount of bite added into it. So it's a way more aggressive prep. Purple. I have probably the least experience with SST5. I haven't played with it a ton. Apparently it's super good stuff, super aggressive, but I just haven't played with it a ton. Better GoP and Topaz are going to be on your more aggressive side of the track tack line. The really aggressive side. I believe Topaz to be pretty close to GOAT. without the downside of Go, and better than Go P. You know, same kind of. Those are for your wet tracks that you just need a ton of to bite in. But you're I'd say anywhere from SST, GK1 Blue maybe. That's still fairly aggressive though. I'd say SST, Ruby, AT2, Black Sand are probably your best bet for kind of a dry slick scenario, somewhere in there. But yeah, AT2 is not a bad prep at all. It's just there are varying degrees. I have to do a video on this eventually here. Not oil based, but oily type preps, and then solvent type preps, and what they can and can't do to a tire, when or where you might or might not want to use them. There's a lot that goes into that train of thought. I mean, the art of prepping is crazy, but things that you might want to consider when you're doing things like that. If it's an oily type prep, if it's a solvent type prep, and when and where to use it. You going to Blairsville? Yes, I am going to Blairsville for the quarter point race Saturday. That is my intent, and I see the weather got better. It was at like 67% chance of the R word, and then it has since gotten way better. So that's going to be awesome. Sounds like state line. Yep, that's Black Sand and Aratari. It just works. It's it's really good stuff. I'm a big fan. That's where I live. At street stocks, modifieds, late miles, it sprints every week. Yep. So the track I used to run at, it's since closed, but Geneva, Paradise Speedway in Geneva, they used to run big 4-cylinder cars, microsprints mostly, and microsprints ran Hoosiers treads on those, winged and not wings. Not sprints, microsprints, 600cc microsprints. So a lot of different rubber, a lot of different glazed over type of. I used Black Sand a lot at that track. On my burrs, worked really good. Use a chemical mixture that someone makes the track, but it always seems to wear off after some time. My track is also hard 8 miles. Yeah, that's and so. Nothing against that tire prep, but you may find that with more aggressive preps, or not allowing the prep to penetrate even further. So there are concepts out there, and it works. It just works. If you use a super aggressive, you take this tire, the Burst 33, and you put goat on it. The goat is going to bind the tire to the prep line. Now, if there is no prep line, if you go that aggressive with if you're a level 10 or 11 on your aggressiveness into this tire, what you're going to be running on at first is prep, and then once the prep burns off, then you're onto the rubber. And if the rubber durometer, the rubber choice, whatever tire you may be on, if it doesn't match what surface you're on, once you're out of prep, you're going to start slipping and sliding. You're not adhered to it anymore. So there's sometimes when people make preps, when people suggest preps, they think it's dry and slick. I gotta put the most aggressive stuff on it as possible in order to bind to the dry slick. Opposite. Don't go super aggressive. What you go with is something that's going to add bite, not soften duro, because the duro needs to match the dirt that it's eventually getting to. Tires are fantastic when they got a good layer of prep on it. They will adhere. This thing is a rocket. But as soon as you burn through the prep and that tire isn't correct to the surface, you're going to be in trouble. So it's part of the thing. That's why I don't like burst, for instance, layering burst prior to a race day. I think they perform better just wiping at track. But things like Maxxis and Vega Yellows, they really do work better when you work them all week and you get that whatever tire prep it is to penetrate that outer layer and then that will last the length of the run. It'll last the 20 laps. You'll be on the prep, and have a chance of it staying there the entire time. To whereas if you just if you have a tire such as a 33 and you wipe it super aggressively, it's going to be there. But then once it burns off, is it is that tire correct for that surface? Just a thought. So GK1s adds bite and softens. Yes, I have some, but don't know how to use it. I use it black sand a week out. Yes. So GK1 is if on that level of 1 to 10, if you're talking about aggressiveness, it is a 5, maybe a 6, somewhere in that realm. It is going to. It's a little bit of an oilier prop, but it will soften, but also add bite. So if I had a set of Maxes, or if I had a set of bag of yellows, which I'm currently rolling right there, I would wipe them 2 to 3 coats beginning of the week. You can break it up if you want to. You can do it all in one day, whatever. But allow that to set into the tread. It is going to soften the tire, so keep that in mind. Not to the degree of a goat pee or something like that, but it is going to soften the tire a little bit. So, but it should bite in and be real good. I don't wipe a lot of GK1 on the outside. I like GK1 as an internal, personally. I think it works really well. I also blend it with other things to make it. I blend it with SQS. I blend it with Tire Tough. I blend it with other things in order to make, see what it would do to a tire. But I prefer it not at track. Can you use it in track? Absolutely. I would suggest, because it's an oilier type prep, that I might cut it with something a little lighter, Acrosol, AT2, Ruby. You could cut it to thin it out a little bit to get away from the oiliness a little bit, because anything, in my opinion, that is heavier on oils as a tire prep takes longer for it to set up and do its job. To whereas more of an Acrosol base, a solvent based prep is going to be quick and penetrative and get to the point. Now you're not going to get as much bite out of a solvent type as you would adding oils to adding oils. But that's all theory. But yes. Okay. Asphalt road course, guys switched to dirt over. And it was spend tires a week. Yeah, that is a good question. I would say that it's varying. If you're strictly racing Burris, I don't think you're spending a lot of time on tires besides the things that count for Burris: date codes, thicknesses, durometers to a point. Surface, you come off the track, you surface them, and then you usually let Burris sit. That's one of the things about them. Now, if I was running week to week and I was running something like a Maxxis, or I was running something like a Vega Yellow week to week, I would probably be prepping a lot more. I would be coming home, they'd be washed, they'd be surfaced, and I would be probably wiping something not super aggressive on them, but something to build bite on either one of them. It's not a ton of time. It's just learning what the tire or track is going to want from the tire and what chemical is going to there. If I were to wipe every single tire in here at least once, maybe I'd be in here an hour, and a couple wipes, you split it up over days. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah. Are there any books you would recommend reading to learn more about kart? What is the shoot? Oh man, somebody had put out. Is it Speed Dynamics? There used to be a. Oh shoot, there's boy, if I ever see him again, is it Kart Dynamics? boy, oh boy, there is some literature out there. Oh boy, I can't think of it's. I'm drawing a blank. I've never read it. Read it. I've never read those things. Um, so I don't know specifically where to tell you to go. There used to be Speed Dynamics or something like that. Kart Speed Solutions is another YouTube channel. They're also on Facebook. I want to say that there is maybe they're connected with somebody that does a book, and it explains pretty much what I do in video form. To a way more technical degree. Um, PRC has it. Yeah, PRC had something. Their dynamics of speed. Boy, there was something a long time ago, not super long time ago, but a bit ago, that was in like a spiral. Somebody put together books, but then there's another one. If I come across it, I'll share it in the community on this thing, on this channel, because one thing I don't ever want to think anybody, I'm high tide raises all ships. Everybody doing well brings the sport up. I am as competitive as I am on track, as far as a social media entity or anything like that, whatever you want to call this thing that we have going on here, that I have going on here, whatever. I'm not competitive in that nature. I support everybody around me. I want everybody to come up. I want all the YouTube channels to do fantastic. I want all the Kart Speed Solutions. I want their business to do great. All the companies involved in kart racing, everybody come up. Everybody go. So if I ever get, I share some stuff. Stanley Speed, yeah. James Stanley just shared a thing on rebuilding the. I shared it on the community. Anybody that has any of that stuff, I'm more information is power. The more power you guys have, the more information you have, the better. If I can find whatever that book was, that's driving me nuts. I saw it a lot last year, and I was gonna share it, and then whatever squirrel, and never did. If I see it, I'll try and share it. But yeah, Bob, there's another information there. You could go there, Bob's Sports Cycle. Absolutely, there's a lot of information on, not as much as there used to be, but I don't frequent it. I pop on there every now and again just to read some stuff, and but there's great information. Some people aren't able to do this to convey information. They're much better, typing on their fingers. Not this guy. this is beyond me. I never got that. I'm a type of dude. So that stuff is tough for me. I could sing a song with my thumbs on this, but that is driving me nuts. That was a great question. I appreciate that. It'll make me look now. But yeah, if I can find who that was, it is in depth. It explains camber and caster and all the stuff, all the information that you would need in order to race karts. I think it will expand your knowledge base. I don't know how much it is. I don't know who makes it. There is something out there, but there was Speed Dynamics or something. There was an old version of it, and I think there's a newer version. Maybe it's digital now. Maybe it was you pay for whatever, and it gave you a link. You got like a PDF file or something like that. That's a possibility. I can't remember the name of it, but whenever I see it, now that it's in here, if I see it, I'll try and share it on the channel. Maybe even on Kart 63 Facebook page, just so you guys can have it. Yeah, knowledge is power. It's all good. I don't. It's not a competition as far as somebody cornering the cornering the market on kart racing information. That's not me. Really good trade for some dirt setup with a guy. Dry rot it's tough. I've seen people win on dry rotted tires. It's dry rot is the oils leaving the tire. It's unfortunate. It's the same thing that happens to car tires. They you can do things to them. Maybe I would suggest that if you're gonna, I don't normally recommend it with track tech stuff, But if you want to try to, say, saturate them down with something like WD-40, transmission fluid, something like that, you might be able to get some life out of them. The problem is you don't know what you're going to do to them or how they're going to behave after you get done with them. There's no science to that I know of. I don't think you're not going to be able to resurrect a dry rot, but you might be able to get some oils back into the tire to where it might be usable. Possibly. Sometimes a dry rotted tire, if it's a dry, dusty track, man, they might work. It might act like sipping. I don't know for certain, but holy crap. Been on here 75 minutes. I told my wife I was going to be an hour. I do math. I do math super well. All right, guys. I really appreciate you coming by, but yeah, I should get off here before I get yelled at. And plus, I still got to get this thing ready. I gotta tinker on some stuff. Tires mostly, get those around, get sized up and what have you. But I really appreciate you coming by every week. I think it's fantastic. I love engaging with you guys. It's as much as I don't mind working on the stuff when I'm doing lives. When you guys really interact with me on here, I enjoy it more. It makes my brain work. Like I said, I always say I don't have all the answers. I don't ever claim to be absolutely right, but what we can do is you can propose the question, we can kind of think through things together and give my opinion on this and think about, well, what about this, what about that. I think the more that you want to learn, that you want to engage in what you're doing, the better it is for everybody. It's better for me, it's better for you, it's better for everybody. The understanding why things do what and how you might correct it, not just run these percentages and do this to your tires. I hate that. It might be fast for some people, but I love the art of racing, the art of karting, the art of everything. I think it's engaging. It's awesome. But I couldn't do it without you guys. So video coming this weekend. Not positive what I'm gonna do yet. I have an idea. I think I have an idea. I'm going to have to scroll through. But anyway, but yeah, anytime, you know where to find me. Kart63 at gmail.com. My messenger, Ben Taft. On here on Facebook, Ben Taft _63 on Instagram. I think I'm on TikTok, 633. I don't know why the extra 3. I think my thumb hit it twice. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. Ever. Remember that movie? All right. All right, guys. Catch you later. Bye.